Thanks for waiting. As we can see, more people are coming in, but we'll get started anyways. Thanks for your time and joining this webinar. Just again, mentioned before, so in this webinar, we're going to take you through the new local maps and all the functionalities and features and latest additions. So before going into that, so we're going to do a quick introduction of ourselves. I'm starting with myself. My name is Arvind Rajendran, and I'm the product manager of LocalMaps. And I'm just going to pass it on to Olivia on the right.
Well, I'm Olivia Flack, and I'm a software developer at LocalMaps.
I'm Edwards, also another developer for LocalMaps team.
I'm Josh. I'm the lead developer for LocalMaps. Yeah, good to be here with you all.
James, I'm a graduate product engineer.
Thanks, team. Let's get this going. Right. Hopefully everyone can see the screen. If not, just pop it in the chat channel. Thank you. So in today's session, we're going to quickly talk about what local maps in general, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the architecture and the frameworks that we use to build the new local maps. That will be followed by talking a little bit more about the gallery and its functionalities and features, and going through the admin panel on how to do all those customizations. Taking you through the new widgets in the viewer and also the documentation that we created. And following that, we're going to give a little bit update on where we are and what's coming up next. That will be followed with a live Q&A session. Great. So if you have any questions at any point, feel free to just pop it into the Q&A section on the top. And at the end of the session, we'll be going through all the questions and we'll be answering it one by one. Cool. So to start with, quickly what LocalMaps is, it's a simple but powerful WebGIS application that can be used to share your content to your end users all in one place. Your end users can see all the data in one place, can view, query, analyze, and report on the data. This pulls in all content from your either your enterprise or online and share it to all users in one place. You can share secure web maps to your users, and also comes with a lot more user-friendly features and functionalities. Local maps comprises of three main.
Just to turn mine on. Hey, we'll be back with you shortly. Sorry, just a couple of technical things here.
Sorry about that. We just ran into a small technical issue. Let me share the screen again and keep it continuing. Right. Hopefully the slides come through well, and hopefully I'm not being kicked out again from this. So as I have been talking, so LocalMaps is majorly built with three components. One is gallery, where all the contents you share through your online or enterprise appears in one place, and you can categorize and showcase all your contents through gallery. And next is the map viewer. So if you share any web maps with the local maps, then it can be viewed through the local maps viewer. It comes with a lot more existing functionalities, but also additional custom widgets that we have built to give you a more user-friendly experience with the maps. And also the other component, which is hidden from the normal users, is the administration panel, through which you can configure how the gallery and the viewer should be looking and also how it should be functioning. So what's happening with the local maps? So the current version of LocalMaps is built using Web App Builder. And there is an announcement from S3 where there will going to be a reduced support in the underlying JavaScript. So the LocalMaps team has been working on a new version of LocalMaps, leveraging the latest technology from S3 as well as from other tech stack, and also building a lot more user-requested functionalities and building this new version. To quickly explain you about the underlying architecture and the framework, I'm going to pass it on to Josh.
Awesome. Thanks, Aravind. Yeah, so I guess this stuff, I mean, we've been probably a little bit quiet over the last year while we've been working all this kind of stuff. The stuff we're working on here, the back-end stuff, is the kind of things that, to be honest, you don't really care about until something goes wrong. And so what we're really trying to do here is make sure that this tech stack, this new tech stack that we're working on, just sits there, hums away, keeps working, and you just don't have to stress about it. So we've really, like, the original LocalMaps really expanded, and you guys have been using it for all sorts of different applications, which is really cool to see, and way beyond what we'd initially started with. So it kind of got to the point where we decided, right, we need to revisit everything, have a bit of a rethink, and make sure it's suitable for the modern kind of age, the modern kind of tech environment, and to leverage all the latest technology updates. So why should you care about that? I guess there's a bunch of different things. We've got this little word cloud here, but it means things like, firstly, one of our big focuses is really reliability. So LocalMaps should just work. Like should open up, should be able to generate reports, should be able to log into admin, and just shouldn't have really any issues. Kind of combined with that, we say enhanced security. So it's not saying that version 2 has anything wrong, it doesn't, but version 3 really uses the latest frameworks and technologies, which have a whole lot of stuff that companies like Microsoft have been working on that can really enhance that security aspect and give us a whole lot more options when it comes to, I guess, fine-grained access controls for the various features that we build into LocalMaps. Performance is a big one, whether that's the way we build the application or whether that's the underlying service and how they all kind of link in. So we want to make it as quick as possible, and your users will have high expectations in today's environment, and so that's something we really want to be able to meet. Things like the gallery loading instantly, or admin being able to interact with the admin without having to wait 10 seconds for something to save. And so where all this is going, we've talked about microservices in the past. I think the term I'd like to use now for what we're really doing is what we'd call modular architecture. So that's things like saying, right, so something like reporting, for example, you might be running on a more powerful server internally somewhere. And so we should be able to scale that up and have that separate from the rest of LocalMaps. Having the core LocalMaps services was one thing that you can upgrade, but then have reporting running separately from that, or data sources, or some of those other additional functionality, and be able to really manage those independently and be able to scale those individually. And so the approach that we've really been taking is to make us more cloud native. So to be able to run in the cloud, to be able to take advantage of all the cost savings and all of the awesome kind of orchestration update functionality that we can get out of the box with that, but also cross-platform. So whether that's being able to run on cheaper processor architectures like ARM, whether that's being able to run on Windows and Linux, any of those sorts of things, really revisiting, and again, just pulling LocalMaps into the modern age. And so, as we said, we're leveraging all the latest frameworks and architectures to do that. But I guess with all of this, the big thing too that we'd really like to do is to really streamline that update process. And so I'm pretty excited, and we'll share more about this once we start rolling things out. But it might be a geeky thing, but I'm pretty excited about the way that the updates work now, and just how easy that will be compared to the old way, just how much less downtime, how much more streamlined, how much more we'll be able to push out bug fixes and changes to you guys with the minimum of stress. So yeah, that's just a quick overview of the architecture and where we're heading right now, and I guess why you should care about some of these things going on behind the scenes. But that's enough of that. I guess we'll jump forward now and actually start showing you some stuff too with LocalMaps.
Yes, over to you, Josh.
Sweet, thanks. So I have the honor of going first. I will just share my screen if you give me a second. All right, this is where we're going to be. Hopefully that's all coming through. I'll just hide Teams as well. Sweet. So this is the new gallery. We won't go through everything here. We've showed some of this in the past, but what we really wanted to show is some of those theming customization options so that you can take local maps and make it look like something that really fits in with your organization. A really quick and easy way we have of demonstrating this is this theme option. So we've got a bunch of different themes here. So for example, I'm just going to select this calcite dark. And you'll see straight away all the colors and fonts and whatnot update. We won't go into all the nitty-gritty details, but you'll see things like here that there is a bunch of different colors that you have to customize to do something like that, whether it's the background color, the text color, even little things like the log out button up here. But we've really taken a focus of trying to say, right, how can we give you something that looks great out of the box, but can also be made to look completely different with just one click, and do some other things as well with that. So like you can see there, we've got the gallery running on the right-hand side, and you can see those changes come through straight away without needing to even refresh, let alone clear cache or anything like that. We've added a couple of extra things in here as well. So one we had, and this really came from an internal requirement that we wanted as part of our own beta rollout, but it's something we thought might be quite useful to you, is this feedback collection interface. So this is essentially just the ability to have a little button in the right-hand corner here, which can have an embedded web page. I don't have one set up here, but when we share the beta testing link later, you'll be able to see that there. But that's just a way of whether it's feedback, whether it's actually something not related to local maps, but you want to be able to have users provide information in a Survey 123 form, or maybe even embed your own documentation or anything like that. We've added that ability in there now as well. So hopefully that's a little tweak that's helpful for you. And then the other thing that we have is this shielded button. So you see down here, we can toggle this on and off, and this comes down the bottom. This is something that you guys might have come across. I believe it's a requirement for a number of government sites to show this now, and it's a really neat tool which helps to deal with the issue of family violence and helps people use this tool. So that's available within LocalMaps so that you can have it there and meet that requirement and be able to help in that way, in the same way that you can on a lot of other websites now. So that's the gallery side of things. I just switch over to and show you a couple of the other admin tweaks and changes here as well. So the first one I'll go to is the searches section. I'm going to go in and add a search, and we'll see we've got a couple of little tweaks here. So something like this layer searching ability here. So I'm just going to look for Lynn's addresses. Spell when I'm on a webinar. There we go. And you can see it's very easy for me to go in and find the layer just like that. Very fast search. Select the search field and the display field, next, and save. So there's just some little tweaks we've made. We've done similar things for the feature query section to really clean up that interface and make that a more easy administrative workflow for you guys. I won't go through and show you all that now, but there's a few little ticks and sort of tweaks like that I'm looking forward to getting feedback on and showing you guys. The other one that we've done quite a bit of work on is the report configuration. So again, local maps reporting is, I guess, very simple and very powerful, but there was certainly some room for some tweaks and improvements in the interface here. So I'll go ahead and just show you just how easy it is to go in and set up a report now. So I'm going off and I'm selecting my my layer and my name here and going save. That kicks me off into an interface here, and then we have this add element to get started section. I can come in and add some text, and I've got this interface on the side here to be able to add more elements. So I can go off, hit save just like that, and then the whole reordering interface is a lot more streamlined. We've got the ability to delete, add sections in between. We'll have sections. So we've got a bunch of little bits and pieces like that that should really make that interface just more easy to use and more responsive. Sweet. think that's most of what we wanted to share. There is a couple of other things. One is just the ability to customize the elevation service or your elevation profile widget. So for those of us who have custom elevation services that we've got set up, we no longer have to go and edit that into config. We've actually got the ability to just do that directly in LocalMaps. So sweet. I think with that brief overview of what we've done with the admin panel, I'll hand over to Edward to talk about some of the widgets that we've been working on. Thanks.
Cool. All right, thanks, Josh. We're switching the topic to look at the front ends where most of our users spend the time doing their works or looking at the maps. The first thing that we want to look at, probably show the layer list widgets to kind of see what we have in the map right now. So not only you can turn the visibilities on and off, you can also view the layers in attribute tables. And we have added a few improvements, not just the performance, but also new functionalities to these tables, such as editing the values and also looking at the attachment. But what I want to show real quick is you can use the search and you can filter it out. Once it's selected, you can then zoom to your data. You can also clear the selections and you can see how all the widget is interacting with the map widget very nicely. And that leads us to think about, this is just the existing data. How can we add more data from other source? We can use our add data widgets and you can see cache the layers, the service that I added previously. What I can do is also go to click to add data. You can add it by files, through URLs, or using a search. And this is a groups that we have assigned it an admin where we can click on the configures and you can see how we can choose what's the groups that we want to assign it to this widget. After that, we can select the layers or the service that we want to add to the map and click done. Using the data actions, we can then add to maps. And we'll be looking at the airport buildings polygon right now. Taking a closer look, we can see the layers is added to our map right now. When we click on this, our feature details panels will show us all the information. What's the type? This is a canopy. When I click on that, this is the buildings. And this is a shipping containers. What's really neat is we can also use filtering functions to only add the data that we want. When I click on that, I can go set the filters. I want to set it to these layers. I want to add a new clause. And this would be the type. And I only want to look at all my shipping containers. After doing that, it will do the filters and only shows the data that you want. Of course, you can choose to export it, export to JSON, CSV, JSONs, or you can look at the details where this layers actually comes from and what data it actually has. Next thing I want to show you is the draw measure widgets. We've put a lot of efforts into the draw measures, not just reviewing the design, but also the user experience and also streamline how you can do your works with this widget. The first thing I want to show is the adding a points. You can update so that it shows the measurements. You can change the size, the rotations, you can type it in, and of course you can change colors and many other settings, such as categories of the symbols. Next, we're going to look at adding a text. So I can change it by saying else. And then I can change styling, the colors, the font types. And whether you want to use continuous drawing. And of course, there's a lot more settings that you can do. Now we'll move into line. Using multi-points, we can now also click tabs and enlarge this screens, and I can then just say I want to draw a line that's 500 meters so that I know the line that I draw is the right measurements, is the right length that I want. And of course, you can choose the deflections and the direction as well. Not only that, you can also use keyboards to do a lot of shortcuts, move around, change the rotation and angles. And to learn more about that, how you can copy, duplicate, delete, undo, you can click on the shortcut buttons to look at it. You can also add polygons with many different symbols and colors, which I won't go through it. What I will do next is to use the select tool. And then what you see here is we now have a new interface that allows you to choose which graphic you want to edit, whether it's the text, it's the point, or it's the line. You can copy all of it, move it around, or you can go, I want to now export it. And you've got this nice interface to choose, do I want to delete the polygons? Do I want to export it? In which formats? And you can click the export buttons and save it as a file. Hopefully they give you a taste of what's all the new cool stuff that we've added to the front end to the viewers. And there's a lot more that I couldn't show you today, but I'm sure you guys will have the time to have a play with it. With that, I will pass it to Olivia.
Great, thanks, Evelyn. Let's share my screen. Cool, so I'll show you a couple more of the viewer widgets. First we'll look at the share widget. So here we have the link to our current map, which we can copy, preview in a new tab, or share directly to email, LinkedIn, or Facebook. We also have the link options to specify that when we open the shared link, it will open in the default location when the map first loads. Or we can change it to open in the current location from when we copy the link. We also have the iframe so that we can easily embed this map into other applications. The iframe also uses the link options from above and can be customized based on size. So let's say we want to save and share a map with some more customization. So let's add some points to our map. Then we can come to the Save widget and save our map with the current extent, layer visibility, and drawings. So these saved maps are all linked to our user profile. So by default, we can only see it when we're logged into this user. And we can view all our saved maps in the Save widget no matter what map we have open. If we want to share our map we just saved, we can untick the private button, click the share button, and copy the link. We can also easily change our saved map. I come back to draw measure and move some points around. We can come back to the Save widget and click the Update button. And that will update our saved map for us. And if we come back to Gallery, we can also find our saved maps. So here's our trail points maps that we just created. We can also see our favorite maps, which are also linked to our user profile. If we open our trail points maps, and we can see it loads directly onto the spot we saved with our drawings. And I'll pass it on to James.
Thanks, Olivia. So I'll just be touching briefly on accessibility, social logins, and our new documentation website. So accessibility, that's been something that we've got quite a bit of feedback on from the last version. And we've worked hard to address those critical errors. So I've done a lot of work in the gallery to really, add labels for screen readers and make sure keyboard navigation is all accessible and there's input focus. So really pleased with the effort that we've done there. Now social logins, we've got Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Google, and I'll show you a Microsoft login. So here's the sign-in screen. You can configure all your logins here, which will display. So yep, so that's signing into my Microsoft account. As you can see up the top, it will tell you in brackets which account you've signed into. And now I'll move over to our new user guide and documentation website. So this is our new website that we've built. So we've moved away from, we're going to be moving away from Confluence, which the old user guides were stored on. And so, yeah, it's a new static site. And so if we go to the admin guide, you can see down the left-hand side, we have all the navigation tabs. And so, yeah, you can get all your guidance through here. We also have a better search functionality, in my opinion. So like if I want to look how to use the draw measure widget, this takes me to the user guide, and we have detailed guides here along with step-by-step instructions of how you'd like to use it. And we also have dark and light theme. So yeah, that's a bit of a taste of the website. You can go check it out. You can see the link, documentation.localmaps.co.nz. And with that, I'll pass over to, we might be getting a bit of a taste of mobile website.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to try and share my screen on mobile through Teams, which is not something I've done before, so hopefully that comes through all right. All right. So yeah, I'm here on the new gallery. You'll see it looks quite nice on mobile. We've made it adapt, so little things like, for example, we have the About pop-up here. We've got a nice filtering section here, so I'm going to go in and show you my favorite maps here. And you can see here I've got a couple of favorite maps. One is this walking and trails demo, which I can go off and see where I can go tramping. And I have another map here, which is this Misty Mountains one, which is this Lord of the Rings destinations map. That's another one of my favorite maps. So if we come up here, we didn't mention this earlier, but we've got a new profile settings option. You can see here that I've signed in through Google, who I am in my email, handy stuff. And we've also got the option now to sort of deal with some of those user data management requirements, to be able to download my data as a JSON file or delete my data if I want to completely remove myself from LocalMaps and manage my own data. So we now give people the ability to do that. Sweet. So that's the new gallery. I'm now going to go in and show you the viewer. So one thing we've done here too, while this loads up, we'll see this splash screen come up. Something we've done now is if you want to customize that, you can actually do that directly through the admin. So rather than needing to go in to the backend files and replace them like you had to do with the old version, if you did that, yeah, we've got the ability just to update that immediately. Right, now our map's loaded up, the main thing I wanted to show you, draw measures featured quite a bit because we've put quite a bit of work into it, and personally it's one of my favorite widgets. So yeah, you can see here it works quite nicely on mobile as well. So for example, I can go off and do a multi-point line. I've got a stylus, which makes it easier, but yeah, you can see it's quite easy to use on mobile. That interface adapts quite nicely. We can go off and do all the same kind of things as we can do on the desktop version, and that also as a user that's just signed in with my Google account, I don't have to be an Ezra user. I can save that, I can share that with people, and I can really have that really nice end user experience. So the other thing I wanted to show you just real quick before we wrap up is we had a question around, will there be detailed user guide documentation for LocalMaps? Well, the short answer is yes. And as James has already showed us, the team of Aravind and James, particularly shout out to them for doing a really nice job of that, of refreshing that So you can see here, all of our widgets have an inline help option. So for example, we're in the draw measure here, and it takes us straight off to this really useful documentation page for the draw measure, which, yeah, it just works just like that, loads up really quick, easy to use, and I think that will be a really good improvement for your end users. Awesome, cool. So that's just a brief snippet of how we are really trying to focus on that end user, mobile, social login type person, and make it a great experience for them as well. With that, I'll hand back to Aravind to wrap us up.
Thanks, Josh. We try to bring up the slides again. Cool. So hopefully all those updates giving you a good indication of what we've been working on and what are the effort we are putting towards and how well it came up. So as the team mentioned, there's quite a lot of new improvements made from the last webinar and the conference we had, and a lot more things like, as Josh mentioned, the splash screen documentation, and now you can use Google Fonts as well as a typeface for your gallery and viewer. So with that, we're just going to quickly give an update on what's coming up in the next few months, and also giving you an idea of when you can expect the new version to be ready and launched. That's taken us to the first slide. Let me scroll to the last and find the slide. Cool. Hopefully that is coming through well. So as mentioned, we have a beta version ready, but again, there is a few more things that we've been working on. And a few more widgets to be added on. So that's what we'll be working on. So from here on, July to August, we'll be doing a lot more testing, and we're going to do some more developments on the select widget reporting and data sources, and also a few other additional refinements that we're going to do. And it will be ready and launched by September, and implementation to be beginning by October. So with that, so we'd like you to be the first to explore and play it by yourself. So here's the link to the new beta instance. I do have to know that this is beta instance, so there are still we are still improving things. So you might come across few areas of improvements. And someone else.
We'll be right back with you.
Okay, sorry about that again. This is the second time I've been pulled out of this meeting for some reason. I think it's time for me to get a new laptop. But anyway, so here's a link to the new beta instance, and we'd like you to just have a look around, play with the different things, and have a test by yourself. It has all the things that we just showed to you. And also in the feedback button, there is a link to the beta form, which after all your testing, and if you have any feedback, you can just quickly send to us. Right, can you switch to the next slide? Cool, that brings us to the end of the session. So have anyone got any questions? You can quickly go and answer those through here. So if you have anything, just yeah, I just got it there. Yes. So the question we have is, could you please add videos of these tips and tricks of general lab tools documentation? Is a common request from you. Yes, that is the next thing we're going to do. The starting thing is just giving a detailed instructions. But the next thing for it to do is get more videos on how to do things. And again, that will be accessible through the documentation site. Right, the next question is there any functionality in the new local maps that is not available in the current version, such as lathe? Yes, there are a few things that we are still working on, which include the select widget, and we are improving the reporting as we go, and also the data sources. And layer themes is something that will be on the pipeline. So you want to add something?
Yeah, I'd say probably all of us developers could add something to that. Our main focus with version 3 is to re-implement existing functionality, and there's so much in LocalMaps that is our main focus. So we wouldn't say there's any like, oh, this is a brand shiny new thing for the most part, but there is a lot of little tweaks, little improvements. Draw measure is probably the biggest one, but I know, if, for example, there's stuff we're doing with admin, stuff we're doing with reporting and the performance and queuing on that. There's stuff like that. There's definitely some updates that come through straight from Experience Builder, things you can do in Experience Builder that you didn't used to be able to do, as well as things that you can do with the new JavaScript API version 4. Yeah, any of you two have any kind of key add things that you know you've added that aren't in version 2? There'll be stuff. Sorry to put you on the spot, but
Yeah, it's good. Thanks, Emma. Thanks for your feedback. It's really good. Yeah, will there be detailed user guide? Yes, there is. Josh has just shared the link, yeah, feel free to just go through. And if you have any feedback on the documentation, please do let us know as well. We're just making it more and more easier to understand and how you do things, and then making your life easier. Right. Any other questions we got? Let's check the other. Right. Nice work, team. Lots of issues we know about to be tackled head on. Do we have a future vision for LocalMaps, say in 3 years' time? We are doing. We're just taking a step-by-step approach here. So for now, the goal is to get the version out, and then down the line, again, we are looking to improve more things and also add more modules, like something that many organizations can make use of. So vision for now, and then yeah, a lot more improvements will be coming on. I don't quite think question. It's Ed still cooking. Is that for you, Edward, or someone else?
Ed Cook.
Ed Cook?
I'm not sure, but yeah, definitely. I'm sure that he still enjoys cooking. So hopefully that answers your questions. Maybe a bit more stuff adding to the previous questions about where do we see LocalMaps for the next 3 years. We can share a bit of our visions and the goals that we have recently discussed about.
Yes. So the goal, so the vision is as to make it more usable for to make the maps usable and maps and the JS content usable for any non-JS experts. So that's sort of the vision we have come across. And any improvements and the things that we do is going to be aligned to that particular vision. So that's basically it. And Edward, do you have something to share?
Yes, I've just published questions.
Yes, so that'll be.
There's 2 questions around. Probably sure that's. There's 2 questions about 3D scenes. So that's definitely something we're discussing and also exploring the use case from our customer. So currently with 3.1, the plan is just reaching parity. So it will still only supporting 2D map, even though it's an experience builder and supports multi-views. But if you got any good use case, definitely let us know. It will help us to justify how we can prioritize those tasks, and examples supporting 3Ds, contains, and layers in LocalMaps in the futures. And that also links to other file format as well, such as CAD. So that's definitely something we've been discussing right now. And also another part of it is also, as Josh mentions, how we can upgrade and minimize the downtime. So that's something we put a lot of effort in too. So in short terms, I think that will be the focus for us. Hopefully I answered that 2 questions from Tim and Julian's. We'll probably get in touch after the webinars.
Well, thanks, Edward. Looking at that's the end of the list. Has anyone got any other final questions?
We can take compliment as well, not just questions. I know that's the feel already.
I guess that will be coming through the feedback form. Anyways, so seems like that's the end of it. But if you have any questions or feedback, yeah, feel free to reach us out to localmaps@eagle.co.nz, or if you're trying out the new beta instance, yeah, there is a feedback form which you can submit and share your feedback. Yeah, hopefully that gave you a good idea of how the new local maps is shaping up and where we are and what's coming up next. And also, what more, you got a link to the instance that you can play around and try how it is. So hopefully that was helpful, and hope you enjoyed our presentation today. So that, on behalf of the team, thank you so much for joining us through this time, and hope you enjoy your rest of the day.